Major support for Do the Math has been provided by CHEVRON, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, EDISON International, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary STROOPE Family Foundation, PANAMA-BUENA VISTA Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, Kern High School District, and AC Electric Company, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
I'm April.
And in studio with us we have Brody. And Brody, if somebody wanted to get a hold of us, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Toll free 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Perfectly done. Now, while you're here, why don't you let everybody know where you go to school and what grade you're in?
Quailwood, and I'm in 5th.
How is 5th grade?
Good.
Have you been at Quailwood for a long time, or you just recently been there?
I've been there since kindergarten.
Oh, so you've got one more year and then you're out of Quailwood, but you've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
What do you think is one thing you'll miss about Quailwood when you move on to junior high?
People?
So you made a lot of friends and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any idea why you're here today?
To do math.
There you go. That's exactly it. So over to the board, young man. Let's get a little math going right now. So in 5th grade, you said that you're working on fractions and things like that. So put up any fraction you want.
1.
Just one. All right. And tell us a little bit about that fraction. What does it mean? What is some of the vocabulary that students need to know when they look at that?
This is the numerator, and the bottom's the denominator, and it basically this is what my teacher told me. It basically stands for a division symbol.
It meaning
yeah.
the fraction bar right here?
Yeah.
This fraction bar is the same as a division symbol, absolutely. The 3 is the numerator and the 8 is the denominator. What else do you know?
It basically also stands for 3 divided by 8.
It also says 3 divided by 8. Can you draw a model? So you know that in a fraction, the pieces should be equivalent, right?
Yeah.
Do you have equivalent pieces? Almost. So these are all equal, right? Do you know what else the 3 might stand for? It is called the numerator, but what part or what is the...
How many there are?
Yes, so this is the part which makes 8.
How many pieces are in the whole?
So this is the whole, and this is how many pieces are in the whole.
Yeah.
And this is the part that we have shaded of the whole.
Yeah.
All right,
Great
good.
job.
So there's a basic beginning. All right, so Brody, go ahead and get rid of your pi and your division symbol. All right, so put a different fraction up there, any one you want.
5/7.
And April, it's up to you. If you want him to find an equivalent fraction to that, or would you like him to multiply that by another fraction, and if so, you make it up?
I would like you to find an equivalent fraction. I want to see if you can do that. So what is a fraction that's equivalent to 5/7, and how would we get there? So we started with 5/7, right? And you told me that 50/70ths is equivalent. What did you do? Aside from adding zeros, what's actually happening?
I did 5/7 times 10 over 10, which got me 50/70.
So if I just multiplied 5/7 times 10 that way, would I get the same result?
Yeah. No.
Yes or no?
No.
No, why?
Because 10 is the same thing as 10 over 1, which you'd get 50 over 7.
So this part has a different whole than this part.
Yes.
Correct.
All right.
Great job.
Very nicely done. You're just trying to get started right there. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. And time now for today's Math in the News.
We're going to have this way, Brody. This one right here.
And for today's Math in the News, we're fortunate enough to have somebody actually come in and visit us in the community. And today we have Cole Sampson from the Kern County Superintendent of Schools office. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Why don't you let everybody know what your role is at KCSOS?
Yeah, so I am the math coordinator here at KCSOS. And in that role, I get to go to school sites all over the county and coach teachers, administrators, as well as hold workshops here on the new upcoming best practices in instruction.
Okay, so what kinds of things, like, so a school calls up the county office and says, listen, we need Cole to come out and help us. What's the first thing you do then?
So the first thing I do then is go meet with the site administrator and help them determine what are the best needs and where should we start our work together.
Okay, and I know that that is part of the everyday kind of stuff that you do.
Right.
But there are other activities that you have during the year where you're out, and tell us about one of those activities.
So one of my favorite activities of the year is our Math Field Day competition every year in April.
Okay, so that's coming up in April, and if a school has never heard about Math Field Day, what is it?
So Math Field Day is a 6th through 8th grade math competition where all middle schools in Kern County are invited to participate. And really it's partner games, individual games, or group competition events, and it's just a lot of fun.
Okay, so a school can get a hold of the county office, and more specifically, we'll put your address up there in a little bit, but if a school wanted to participate, are there any dates that they need to know things and like get entered by?
Yes, so as soon as possible, if they do send an email to me, I can get them information that was shared last week at our coaches meeting. It was kind of an optional meeting just to kind of set the stage for this year's event.
Okay.
And then after that, our first real deadline is February 21st, which is the intent to participate in the event.
And you just need to say, our school will be there.
Correct.
You don't need to worry about who's doing what events or anything like that yet.
Right.
And as you said, there are individual events. So if a student wants to do math and they feel more comfortable doing it on their own, there are events for those kids.
Absolutely.
There are ones where you can do them in pairs, and then there are, I know, the relays, where you have a group of students working together.
Correct. And we also have the school-wide problem solving, so they could sit in there with multiple grade levels together, really tackling problems like they might see in their everyday classroom.
Okay, so you're able to mix grade levels at that point?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any things where students have to be in a certain grade to compete in that event?
Right, so the only thing that we say is if you have a combination of grade levels, you can compete up, you just can't compete down. So for example, if you have a relay team, you could have 6th, 7th, 8th graders on that team, but they would have to compete as an 8th grade team,
Okay.
as opposed to you couldn't compete down as a 6th
So you
grade
couldn't put a 7th grader on the 6th grade team?
Correct.
You would have to have, I think it's 4 students you need to have for the relays?
Correct.
Some of them? Okay. So is there anything else going on with the math coordinator position with the county office that people need to know about?
So outside of the events, we do a lot of state and regional work. We're actually helping support the revision of the new math framework that's coming out in the next couple of years. So we are definitely helping push the momentum forward in our county, and it's really exciting work that we're doing there. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm certainly glad you were able to come on downstairs for a couple of moments and talk to us about Math Field Day.
Absolutely.
We'll put your email up there in case students or possibly teachers, principals, things like that. So cosampson@kern.org. That way you can get a hold of Cole, find out more about Math Field Day if you need to. And once again, that intent date was?
February 21st, and the event is April 25th.
All right, nicely done. Hey, we do have phone tutors here until 5:30. That is today's Math in the News. Time now for us to go out and about in the community and see what's going on at BSK.
little math in the real world. Safety first in the real world. We're here today at BSK Associates, and we want to talk with Branch Manager Adam Terronez. Thanks for your time, Adam. I appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
This place looks amazing. Where are we, and what goes on here? Tell me a little bit about it, and then we'll go take a look at what's happening here.
Sure. Well, we're at BSK Associates. Our company is a geotechnical engineering company, environmental engineering company. We do construction materials testing, special inspection. We've been here since 1972 here in Bakersfield. And what we're going to be looking at today is our materials laboratory, which we test concrete, we test soils, we test asphalt, a lot of the materials that go into the projects that you use every day, the roads, bridges, schools, hospitals.
Okay, so just a super silly question, but I really want to know, why do you test all this stuff? Why is that important?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with public safety, of course. You know, the materials that are being put into the structures are designed to a certain standard or designed to a certain specification. And so what we are doing is testing those materials to make sure that they meet those specifications and those standards.
Gotcha. And if you didn't have standards, regulations, specifications, you'd have structures all over the place with a different standard of solidity, right? A different standard of building, and you never know how long those things are going to last and what kind of dangers that they could pose, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is driven by the building code, of
Right.
course. You know, California Building Code, you know, was developed and enhanced over the years. A lot of the new codes are based on some of the seismic events that have happened in various regions. You may be familiar with Northridge, Loma Prieta, some other earthquakes that have occurred here in California. So we're in a high risk seismic area, and so the building code and the standards are probably to the highest level in the nation. So.
Right. Even Ridgecrest, this is summer, huh?
Exactly.
So what's going on here? We have a couple bathtubs. What's happening here?
So, so right here, these are some of the samples that we've collected in the field. So these are samples of concrete that have been sampled and brought to our lab. And so they're sitting in a bath of water that's enhanced with some lime. It aids the curing process, and we're testing those samples at regular intervals. So it could be every 3 days, it could be every 7 days, it could be every 21 days. Typically, concrete is designed for a 28-day compressive strength, and so that just means that at 28 days it's got to meet a certain requirement. And we'll show you a little bit about that in the next segment, but that's what you have here with the samples that are here in the tubs.
Okay. What's next? Man, this place got everything.
Yeah. So we test a lot of different materials. We test asphalt. We've got some material here that we use for capping the cylinders.
Okay.
So again, it goes back to the tolerances and the standards for the tests themselves. So they've got to be a certain, they've got to be straight, you know,
Right.
before you can test them. Otherwise, if they're not straight, they could give you some false readings. You're not getting the true strength of the concrete.
Right.
So
Right. Gotcha.
that's a leveling material.
Okay.
We have some water. We use a lot of water in here. We test a lot of soils. A lot of that soil has to be washed because it tells you, it gives you an idea of what the distribution of the soils are. So we're testing soils, not just concrete. We're testing soils. We're testing asphalts and aggregates. And again, it goes back to some of the specifications that are required for those materials.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Good deal.
So Crystal's running a direct shear test, and shear strength is important. It's a soil. In this case, we're running a soil test, but so the strength of materials and the strength of soil in shear is very important because that's how soils fail in shear. If you look at a retaining wall or an embankment, this is kind of the failure mechanism. So you have a shear zone, this case, it's a retaining wall, so this is like a cross-sectional view, or an embankment in cross-section, where you might have a slip surface, and in this case, a footing that also fails in shear. So it's very important to know what the strength of the soils are in shear. And soils are a little bit different. They're not like concrete, they're not like steel, which are man-made materials. And soils are very complex. They're highly variable. You could have different compositions of silts, clays, and sands.
Inorganic material. There's all
Inorganic
kinds of stuff
material.
there, right? Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns when you're looking at building something. So a lot of what we do is investigation work. So we're drilling, or we're digging test pits to get a better understanding of what's happening underground.
So many different types of soils here too in Kern County that I know of anyway. I know I've lived in a couple different parts of Bakersfield, and we've had clay soils and rocky soils and sandy soils. But what we really want to know is about this testing. So when we come back, we're going to run some tests. That's what the safety glasses are for. We'll run some tests, make sure we can actually do what they say they do here, and we'll find out a little bit how the math works in here. Back to the studio, though. I know there's some math problems to do there.
All right, thanks for that, Scott. Nice to see that they are taking safety as a precaution out there at BSK. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon. We have Brody, a 5th grade student from Quailwood Elementary, in studio with us. And joining us on set, we have a 6th grade student, Julian. How are you today?
Good.
And in 6th grade, one of the things that is a highlight of 6th grade students in Kern County is going to Camp Keep.
Yeah.
Are you going, or have you been already?
I'm going in late April.
So late April, you're going to be going to Camp Keep.
Yes.
What have you heard about Camp Keep?
I've heard that the food is good and
That is excellent that you said that, because every single student that comes on the program that has already been there, I always say, what's the best thing you liked about Camp Keep? Because they were just there, and they go, the food. So what did you hear about the food that makes it so great?
nothing yet, but I've just heard it's good, and I heard that we go on hikes a lot every morning and afternoon.
Okay. You heard anything else about it?
Not really.
Do you know that you're in school 24 hours a day over there?
Yeah, now I do.
Yeah, that you do, right? So the whole week that you're going to be over there, you're in school, right? So you're learning the entire time that you guys are over there, right? You guys will be doing a lot of hiking, so make sure you bring some good walking shoes with you and stuff like that. Bring a lot of layers, because you never know what the temperature is going to be over there. It could change a lot because you're over by the ocean and stuff like that.
Yep.
Are you excited about it coming up?
Yeah.
Good. Well, you know what? We're going to get you doing a little bit of math in a couple of moments, all right?
Okay.
Right now, we're going to go to the phones. And Elizabeth, how are you this afternoon? Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi.
You're a 6th grader from Buena Vista, correct?
Correct.
All right. As soon as you're ready, let's hear the math problem that you're working on.
Okay, it's 6y to the second, 8 over 8 to the 6th, over 4y to the third, and 8 to the 5th.
Okay, so we've got 6y to the second power times h to the 6th power divided by 4y to the third power times h to the 5th power, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so Elizabeth, what do you know about a problem like this? Do you have a page of exponent rules? So the numbers that are small and scripted to the top, those are exponents. Do you have a page of rules to follow? Do you know any exponent rules?
That you need to subtract when you're dividing the exponent.
Okay, so are there other exponent rules that you know?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so but you know that if you're dividing exponents, which we are, that we should subtract the exponents, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so where would you like to start this problem?
Maybe with the y.
With a y. And so if I'm subtracting exponents, I've got y to the second power minus y to the third power, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and what does that simplify to? What do you get from there?
-1.
Yes, so y to the -1 power? We'll talk about that in just a second. And so what about the h? I've got h to the
6.
6th power minus h to the,
to the 5th.
so that's 6 minus 5. And simplify, that gives me h to what power?
1.
H to the 1st power. Do we have to write the 1?
No.
Okay, so I can just write h?
Yeah.
So what about the numbers 6 and 4? What should we do with those numbers?
Just make it 3.
Make it 3?
3
Does
over 2.
6 divided by 4 give me 3?
3 over 2.
So you get 3 over 2. How did you get from 6/4 to 3 over 2? What did you do?
I simplified it by 2.
So you divide it by
2.
2 over 2? 2 divided by
Yeah.
2? That's my 1 whole. And so 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2, and that's how you got your 3/2. So does your paper say that you should write your exponents in positive form, or can you write with negative exponents?
It says we can only contain positive exponents.
Only contain positive exponents. So how do we deal with this negative exponent?
We should multiply it.
We should multiply it by what?
Negative.
So can you take a look at the original problem? Are you watching, or do you just have
Yes,
the paper
I'm
in front of you?
watching.
Okay, so let's take a look at the y's. We've got y to the 2nd power in the numerator and y to the 3rd power in the denominator, correct?
Correct.
So if I did a visual, so I have 6 times y, and then there's 6 h's, because if I'm raising a variable or a number to a power, that's how many times I'm multiplying it by itself, correct? And then if I have 4, how many y's are in my denominator?
2.
In the denominator on the bottom.
Oh, 3.
Y to the 3rd power, so that's y times y, correct? And then I have h times h 5 times, right? Okay, so here's your visual. Can you see the visual? We said right here that 2 divided by 2 was 1. So what do you think y divided by y is?
1.
So that will cancel. And y divided by y is?
1.
So that will cancel. So now where is our y?
On the bottom.
And the bottom's called the denominator?
Divided.
The denominator. So I'm gonna keep my y in the denominator. So let's cancel out the h's. So h divided by h is 1. H divided by h is 1. There's a 1-to-1 correspondence here where we cancel, right? Where do I have an h left now?
On the top.
In the numerator on the top. And that's how we've simplified that. So if you need to expand your multiplication so that you can cancel 1-to-1 correspondence, you can do that as well.
There you go, nice problem, and especially if you're able to draw that out, it makes a little bit more sense for some people to see it written out like that and then cancel them out. For a great problem like that, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Chick-fil-A, so congratulations on that. And we do have phone tutors available until 5:30, but more importantly, we have Brody and Julian, 2 students from Quailwood Elementary in studio with us right now. And I've got a beautiful problem for you both to work on, all right? So I'm not going to give you a 5th grade problem or a 6th grade problem. This is going to be a great problem for you both to work on. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, head on over to the board. April is going to draw a rectangle up there, and it's going to measure 11 by 13. All right? It doesn't matter if it's 11 feet by 13 feet, 11 miles by 13 miles, 11 inches by 13 inches. It makes no difference what it is. So it's an 11 by 13. Here is what I need you boys to do. And work together, and you can draw things in there.
Here you go.
Okay? And when you draw things in there, I want you to label them also. What is the fewest number of squares you can fit inside that rectangle? And then I want you to explain how you can prove that to me. So what is the fewest number of squares you can fit inside that rectangle? So talk about it between yourselves and see how you want to start this.
So you can do 13 probably across the bottom because it's 13 feet.
And then 11 up.
Yeah. So
then can't you multiply that
Yeah,
to see
13
everything?
times 11. So
So what do you need to have a square, first of all? What must a
4
square
equal
be?
sides.
4 equal sides. So can you make one square in that and fill the whole thing up?
Yes.
How can you make a whole square fit that thing? You guys
What,
can't
what
do
do
that,
you
can
know
you?
about a square?
If you made it 11 feet by 11 feet, you could put it in there, right?
Or no.
But it wouldn't fill it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So keep talking.
So 13 on the bottom, 11 going up.
So what do you know about a square?
4 equal sides.
4 equal sides. So we're looking for the fewest number of squares that will fit in here. So that means it has to have 4 equal sides, right?
Yep.
The fewest number with 4 equal sides. Go ahead. I just want to clarify that. Keep talking.
So 11 going up.
Would we try to make the 13 and 11?
How would you do that? What would that look like? Well, you can't just cross it out and make an 11, no.
No.
But if you're going with that thought, what would that look like? What would you do? It's okay to touch this and it's okay to draw on it. And then you can erase if you want to change your mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go with that thought. See where it takes you. Take a risk.
So you'd have 2 left over if that was an 11.
Okay. So draw it on there. What does that look like?
So are you thinking about an 11 by 11?
He's thinking about it.
Okay, so where would you draw a line in there to make it 11 by 11?
Like about right here.
Okay, so what would you label that large piece now? What is the measurement of that large piece?
A 10.
11 by 2.
Well, the big one, because we only want squares.
Oh, this?
Right.
Yes.
11 by 11.
Okay, so go ahead and write that in there. So that is an 11 by 11. Okay, so how many squares do you have so far? You've only made one, right?
Yeah.
But have you filled the whole thing in?
No.
No, you haven't.
No.
So keep filling it in. I want to know the fewest number of squares that can fill that entire rectangle.
So if we have one here, what can we do with this piece?
We
Would
can
we
make it
bring-
into a ones,
One square?
like a 1 strip.
But it has to be a square. We're looking for squares, and you guys told me that squares have equivalent sides. Like this is an 11 by 11,
Yeah.
classified as a square. So now I have this piece. How can
Could
I
we
make
could we split these in 2 and put one down here and make it wider?
wider? Will it cover 11 if you did that?
Well, you could leave it there. It's going to be the same if you put it down on the bottom or if you put it on top or you put it on the
It's
left.
just going to be an extra piece.
What is the measurement of that extra piece you have left over?
2 feet.
11 and 2.
Wait,
Or
where's
2
the
on
2?
the bottom. 2 down here.
Erase that.
Okay, so you have an 11 by 2. All right. You need to cut that into squares now.
So if we have 11 by 2 and we need equivalent sides, what's the easiest number to work with?
2.
And so what are we going to make squares of?
11?
We have, can we make an 11 by 11 over here?
No.
Why can't we make an 11 by 11 with the piece that we have left?
Because there's 2 feet on the bottom.
Because there's not 11
Yeah.
feet to work with, right? There's only 2 feet. So is there another option? Making squares. Tell me again, what is a square?
4 equal sides.
4 equal sides. So if I have one square, that's an 11 by 11, and I've concluded that I can't make another 11 by 11, do I have another option? What's my other option?
Making another square with
With
4
what
equal sides.
measurement?
This, but making it smaller.
What would be the sides that we're measuring with? What would be the lengths of those sides?
You only have two numbers, 11 and 2.
We've already established
you
you
can't
can't
use
use
the 11, so what do you have to use?
2?
2.
Okay,
So what's the square going to be? A 2 by
2.
2 by 2. So can you see how many we're going to fit here? So if we make 2 by 2, what's that going to look like? Where will we draw a 2 by 2?
Like here?
Okay. So that's a put the length on the outside there.
Oh,
So that's a 2 by 2. Where else can we make another one of those, or are we
Yeah.
stuck?
We
How
can
many
make
more
one
of those
right
can we make?
there.
well, then 2
2
and
by
2.
2. Are we done?
No.
Okay. Can we get more squares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have at it. How many will fit there? What are you thinking? Think out loud for me, because I can't jump in your brains.
Well,
2,
4,
4,
6,
6, 8.
How many can we fit there?
Then we can put one more.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
So this is actually, can you write the measurement of that, because sometimes our perception of equal parts. So what's this one
That's-
right here?
what did I do it?
No, I did, because I like to hover around things.
that's
Go ahead.
3,
3.
Yeah, and then
Count that again for me.
2, 4, 6,
no, this is
8, 10,
How long is this side right here?
11.
So what does that have
it
to be?
1.
A 1.
Oh, yeah.
So that is a. And what's the width right there?
1.
1 by
1.
1 by 1? Well, what
1
size
by
is this down
11.
here?
1 by 2.
Oh, 1 by 2. So that's a 1 by 2. Can we make any more squares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can we
Making
do?
2 1x1s.
Ah, what does that look like? It's going to look a little strange because that last one is kind of long, but we know
Right.
those to be
1
1
and
by-
1 and 1 and 1.
all right. So is that the fewest amount you got?
so how many squares do you have now total?
1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
8.
And do you think that's the fewest number of squares you can put in there? Or do you think you can do it a different way?
I can think we can do it
Yeah.
differently.
You think you can do it a different way? Well, you know what? We're going to let you guys work on that. But for your great work right now, we're going to award you each with a couple of tickets, courtesy of CSUB Athletics. You guys will be able to go to any sporting event you want. And I know the CSUB right now has basketball going. They've got swimming and diving, soccer going on, wrestling going on, baseball coming up. So congratulations on that. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. We'll see how the boys do
could we
right
make-
after this.
Like,
Today we're at Blake School, and we're here to And we're back at Blake School with students from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So we talked about rounding numbers last time, place value, and things like that. Now we're going to talk about number patterns. What are any number patterns that you can think of? So patterns where it follows. So if I go 2, 4, 6, 8, what am I doing?
You're following the same number each time. You add 2 to each number.
Right, I'm just adding 2, right? It's a number pattern. I'm adding 2. They're also even numbers, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. What are some other patterns?
3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
There you go. It's just like multiplication tables, right? Those are all patterns. What are some other patterns that aren't so simple or easy? Can you think of any patterns that would be a little bit different?
1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32.
There you go. Perfect. And what are you doing with that pattern? So go ahead, say it again. You guys write this down. So say your pattern again. So if you started off with 1.
1, 2, 4, 8, 16.
Okay, so stop there. So you have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Now that's a little different, isn't it?
Because you're doubling it each time.
You're doubling it each time, right?
We're multiplying it by 2.
Multiplying it by 2, right? Taking whatever the previous number was, multiplying it by 2. How about this one? See if you guys have ever heard of this pattern. Go ahead and write this down. We'll go 1, 4, 9, 16. Do you have any idea what that pattern might be?
Dividing maybe? I don't know.
Because the numbers are increasing in size as we go. What kind of pattern do you see? So we went from 1 to 4. You could either say
3, 5, 7 is all odd numbers.
okay, so they're increasing first by 3, then by 5, then by 7. So what would the next one be increased by?
By 9.
By 9. So add 9 to the last number and see what you get. So you have 16 and you add 9, what do you have?
25.
25. Have you heard of square numbers? Where if you have an exponent to the second power, right? If you have 1 squared, that means 1 times 1, right? What's 2 squared?
4.
4. What's 3 squared?
9.
What's 4 squared?
16.
You see what those numbers are? They're the same numbers, right? So what's 5 squared? 5 times 5? 25, right? So those are square numbers, all right? So what I'd like you to do is, on your paper, come up with 4 numbers, okay? Make a pattern. It can be any kind of pattern you want, but don't do like 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Or 1, 3, 5, 7, because those are easy patterns that people can look at really quick, okay? So you think of a pattern. You can start with any number you want, and then you could go like, all right, well, I'm going to take this number and I'm going to divide by 2 and add 2. And then I'm going to take the next number, I'm going to divide that by 2 and add 2. You guys see what I'm saying? Try to make kind of an unusual pattern. All right, go. Who has 2 numbers down so far? You've got 2 numbers? You've got 2 numbers? All right. So let's see if we can figure out. And what's your name again?
Ellie.
Ellie? All right. So Ellie, what are your first 2 numbers?
1 and 8.
1 and 8. So what could possibly be going on? She could be doing what? Could she be adding something?
No, I'm not, but I could be.
Well, it could be adding 7, right? Or she could be multiplying by 8. So there's 2 different things. Do we know definitely what her pattern is yet? Because it could be 2 different things so far, right? So what's the next number?
I don't have that one yet. Well, my first 2 numbers are 1 and 8. So
Okay.
I have to get my third number.
So you know what your pattern is in your head, what you're trying to do?
Sort of.
All right, so we'll let the kids at Blake School, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, continue working on their patterns and see what they come up with. All right, once again, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon. We have a couple of students from Quailwood Elementary in studio with us. We have Brody, a 5th grade student, and Julian, a 6th grade student. And those guys were working on a great problem, how many squares they could fit into an 11 by 13 rectangle. You found 8.
Yeah.
Were you able to find any fewer than that? Not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, you guys keep on working on that for a little bit. But anyway, we have another opportunity to head on out and see what Scott's doing with the folks over at BSK.
Back at BSK Associates, we want to know, what are these tests that they run in this place? Because there's so much fun stuff around here. Looks kind of exciting, but at the same time, we know there's a little bit of danger to it, which makes it all that more interesting. So we brought Frank in. Frank, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, guys.
What do you do? What is going on here? I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens here at BSK. This laboratory is responsible for testing a lot of concrete here in the county and soil samples as well. I specifically test concrete that is sampled by our field techs
So we
for
saw
clients.
some of these in the lime baths over there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Those are our curing tanks. We have to keep them there incubated for about, we have a 7-day that we usually do with the set and a 28. The 28 is what we look at when it comes to the results when we do our breaks. So that's the most important part of the test.
Things are breaking.
Yes.
Tell me about that. You have a clipboard here, you got some numbers, and you have a machine looks like it's going to do some damage. So what's happening?
Yes, definitely does do some damage. This is why we do a lot of safety precautions, because safety is a priority here with this lab. Sure. But here are some numbers. So this is roughly what we do here. We record the specified break and the strength here. So 4,000 is what these were required. You have 3,500 and so forth.
And what do those numbers represent? PSI or something like that?
PSI, exactly.
All right.
So PSI is determined here with this machine.
Okay, and
this
that's
is
pounds per square inch. So that's how much pressure is going on.
correct.
Right? Okay, got
This is a compression machine that we use. We have our setup for 4x8s, and then we have a different setup for 6x12s. Today, unfortunately, we won't be doing that. Those are a little bit more, higher on PSI. So we just wanted to play it safe. But other than that, everything is controlled here. We do we do have another shield here. This is where I control the machine itself, which I will always be standing by, and everybody will be safely away.
Right.
Other than that, here are some tests that we did earlier.
Okay, and and they broke, right? So
Yes,
tell us what
exactly.
we're looking at when they break, what you look at specifically to know if this piece of material met the specifications or did not meet the specifications, right?
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. So these did meet specifications earlier today. They surpassed the 3,500 specification that was required for the structural building.
Okay.
So these broke about 5,500. So clearly, 2,000 over the 3,500.
Right. But that's kind of fun. Once they meet that specification, like, we're still going to break it.
Exactly.
We're still going to get it.
Yeah.
We're just going to see how much it can take.
Thankfully, this has a certain limit, which is about 10,000.
Okay.
So we're never going to really surpass that. If we do, we take other precautions and
you
test
say
it
it gets an A+++, and go ahead, it passes. Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
So here with this brake is a Type 2. It is what we call a conical brake. This is why it kind of shapes like a cone, as you can tell.
Okay.
And then this would only mean that everything within the mixed design is evenly proportioned, creating such a brake like this.
Okay.
And allowing it to get such a high breakage.
And that's a good thing, right?
Which is a good thing,
Okay,
yes.
so those are a good thing. Good
But
results.
having a different type does not mean it's a bad thing either. So
Okay.
here we have a Type 3. As you can tell, the bottom of the base was beginning, it did, crack off, not allowing it to get a complete base like this. So this is what distinguishes a Type 2 and a Type 3. Does not mean that it failed, but that's just how it broke.
Okay.
And so here, as you can tell, it kind of went vertically. I could show you a little bit better here. So see how the crack goes all the way vertically down? We have some that go as well to the side of it, causing it to break like that.
Right.
And this held at the base. So
Just
like I
some
said,
data, right?
just
some
some
input,
data, yeah.
And you have to know when it breaks, how it broke, and all that fun stuff.
Exactly.
Anything different here on this one?
So here is what could possibly be another 3. See how they're almost matching here at the bottom of the bases? The bases were getting weak, causing it to break like this. We do have some conical here, but having the fact that this broke at the edge like this, it is considered a Type 3.
Right, gotcha. Okay, so we want to see you do this. I'm going to put on my ear protection, right?
All
We're all
right.
going to be nice and safe, and let's see what kind of break we get on one of these new ones.
Perfect. All right, so safety is of the most concern. I have to have my ear protection, eye protection, and then my gloves. You never know. So here's what a 4x8 looks like. As they come received, you'll have some uneven topping. So I have to cut it with a masonry saw so I can get perfect plainness. This allowing me to place this evenly on our neoprene pads. So I put this here, put the top pad, make sure this one's cleared. Usually we have a rag nearby. You want to make sure the top is clear of debris. You're going to place the cap here, and then this wrap. This wrap allows more protection in case, for whatever reason, shrapnel is shot out beyond our safety measures here. So I'm gonna put gonna make sure my pulley is locked here. This lever has to go completely to full in advance to allow me to make sure that this 4x8 is centered. Now I do this in increments so I can get complete center displacement here. So I'll slow down here, make sure it's all the way back on hold, so that way my fingers don't get pinched. I'll view it here, and looks like we're about centered there. Once I know I'm centered, put shield up, put this lever all the way forward. Now you'll see some readings here. Once this starts to go down, I pull the lever back and open the valve. I want to make sure this is centered here, so I'll adjust the valve just a little bit more. And there we go. So we're just about centered there. So that'll basically allow me to interpret that there is centered displacement, well, a centered force on the 4x8. So I know that, there we go. It's a little tricky, that it's gonna break evenly. We don't want something that is broken prematurely on its side, so keeping it centered is always a good rule. All right. There we go. So these two little dots there next to the center indicate that it is fully, equally forced on that 4x8. So once this starts to give out, it'll go to the left. I can still control it now, but once I can't control it and it goes to the left, you know the cylinder is about to give out. Right there. There we go. So I locked my valve here, pulled the lever all the way back, making sure that this is no longer exerting force. Put my shield down. So here, remove this. Now, with this type of brake, this is a type 2. As you can see, I only have this much off. So I still have a solid base. As you can see at that angle, it's almost conical. So that would be considered a type 2. Now with the numbers here provided, the PSI strength is 4,331. What we needed was 3,000. This has definitely surpassed the required specified strength. So this would be a pass test.
A success.
Yeah, success.
Yeah, all right. The BSK party begins. All right, we know there's more math to do back in the studio, but you can tell there's a lot more to do here. So we'll be back with one more segment after this.
All right, thanks for that, Scott. More to do there, but plenty to do here. We've got the two boys, Julian and Brody, students from Quailwood Elementary. Over to this board, boys. We don't have a lot of time. Each of you is going to work on your own side of the board.
No, you're fine.
Each of you in the green circle down below are going to put a number between 1 and 9. Any number you want.
Put a number in there.
If it's the same, great. If it's different, so be it. All right? So you're going to use 4 4s. You have to find 4 4s, and you have to put operation symbols in between them, like add, subtract, multiply, divide. You can use grouping symbols such as parentheses. You have to make the 4 4s equal your number. All right? So look at it this way. If I did 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, what would I get?
12 or 16.
I'd get 16, right? So I can't just add them and get 2 or 8.
Yeah.
Right? If I went 4 plus 4 minus 4 minus 4, what would I get? Think about it. 4 plus 4.
8.
Minus 4.
4. 4.
Minus 4.
0.
I'd get 0. So if I picked 0, I could do that. But you guys chose 2 and 8. So each of you, you have to put symbols in between the 4s. You have to use all 4 4s and make them equal the number you wrote in the circle. You have
Can we
room on the
put
bottom.
parentheses?
Yes.
You can use parentheses, multiply, divide, add, subtract, whatever you want. If you need some help, April is here with you, and I will give you boys 4 minutes to do so, since we're doing 4 4s.
4, 1.
And when you think you've got it, let April know.
Got it. Okay.
Well, that's
Show
pretty
me.
quick.
Show me.
All right,
4,
Julian,
8.
whoa, hold on, boys. Julian, go first. Can't hear you guys at the same time.
So 4 divided by 4
Is.
equals 1.
Uh-huh.
and then I put addition, and then I did it again. So 4 divided by 4 equals 1, and the addition symbol bring down equals 2.
Okay, and Brody?
4 plus 4 is 8. 4 minus 4 is 0. 8 minus 0 is 8.
You guys did that rather quickly. Nice job. So what I'd like you to do is leave the 4 4s up on top the way you have it. Erase your 1 plus 1 and 8 minus 0. No. Leave that up there, where you've got your plus sign right there.
Oh. Make a complete circle.
Okay.
And then tap in the middle.
There you go. All right. Now.
Do I erase my number?
Oh, no. This is the beginning of the fun. Okay. So you each found a way to find 2 and 8.
Okay.
Now find a different way.
Oh, no.
You can't do the same thing you've done. Find another way to find 2 and another way to find 8. You can leave that one up there. Leave it the way it is. Just start off with 4 more 4s.
Okay, just write
4
4
new
4s.
4s. Because that way we can see your first way, and then that way we'll make sure that you have a completely different way. So find a new way to find 2 and 8. You're fine right there, I think. You just needed an operation symbol in between your 2 sets of parentheses. Now, Julian, you started adding, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead and put it up there again, right? So you've got 4 plus 4 is 8. So you
Yeah.
need to get somehow to 2.
Minus 4, but then I have a 4 left over.
Okay. Brody, you gonna start all over again? I thought he had it. I think you had it. Try it again.
4 divided by 4 equals 1 minus
Oh, yeah.
4
Instead of multiplying,
equals
is that a
negative
multiplication
3
or an addition symbol?
plus 4
Oh, that's multiplication?
equals no.
Instead
Say it
of
again, I can't
multiplying,
hear
what do you
you.
think you should do in
Okay,
there?
I was thinking
Adding?
4 plus
Try it.
4 divided by 4.
Oh!
I was thinking 4 divided by 4 equals 1.
So you need to put
and
something in between
then
them.
Okay,
minus,
I'm done.
and then that would be
Well, explain it to me
negative
now.
3, but plus.
Okay. What's
It
4
wouldn't
divided by
work,
4?
you'll just get the
Is
3.
1
So
What's
put your
4
plus
plus
back
4?
right here. Let's go back
8.
to
And what are you doing to them?
Okay.
dividing.
So if we
What's
have
1 divided by 8?
What's the easiest way
No,
to
it's
get
not.
to?
What's 1 divided by
Minus.
8? Write it as a fraction.
Minus.
1 divided by 8.
So then we have 4 plus 4.
1 over
is
8.
minus 4.
Wait, I have it.
Oh!
So what do you need to do instead of dividing those 2 numbers?
No. Let's go erase.
The 1 and the 8 are fine. What do you need to do to
Wait, I
them
know
to
how to
make
do
8?
it now. So 4 plus 4 equals 8.
You can't divide them.
8. And
Can you go 1 minus 8?
what is?
No.
No. So you only have 2 options left. Figure it out.
8, no, 1
8.
time.
Oh!
And then
No, you can't put an
we're
O in
going to
there.
divide by
What do you want to put in there?
erase this. Put the
There you
symbols
go.
that you
1
had in
times
before.
8, there's 8. There you go. So you got
Okay.
the other way. So I was going to say, I thought you kind of had it.
division.
Okay. So then we have 8 and 1.
1.
Well, is there something that we can put here?
8 and 1.
Do you know what a square root symbol is?
No.
All right, so we're going to go over that in a minute, but we can see that the boys did originally come up with an original way to each get 2 and 8, and working on another way to get 2 and 8, and we have one more opportunity to head on out and see what Scott's doing with the folks at BSK.
Hey, when you're checking out math in the real world, there is no better place to be than outside. This is the real world. We want to know a little bit more about how all that testing that was done in the lab goes into making a beautiful place just like this here in Bakersfield. So Adam, tell me a little bit about, we know why we test, right? But how does that relate to this amazingly beautiful spot we have here?
Sure. Yeah, well, you may be able to recognize this is Milk Creek Park. We're still in the city of Bakersfield. And Mill Creek Park was a project that was put forth by the city of Bakersfield. And as I mentioned, there's a lot that goes into these projects. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of engineering, and of course there's a lot of testing. So this is an example of a civil engineering project that a company like BSK gets involved with. Like I said, both on the engineering side and on the testing and inspection side.
Gotcha. So it looks just like a natural transition from the grass to the cement to the bridge, but this is a master planned area. It has to be for it to be sustainable, right?
Exactly. All of this that you see here is part of the plan. There probably isn't one thing here that is unintentional. You know, the trees here, some of them are big, some of them are small. You can tell the difference from what's been here a long time and what's new if you look closely. But it all works and it all works together, and it's all a part of the master plan and making Mill Creek a better place.
Right, right. So if a young person sees this, sees your lab, gets really excited about, gosh, I want to be able to not only use some math but make a difference in the community, how do they start in your profession? What can they do now as a young person?
Well, certainly, you know, getting good grades,
There you go.
studying, working hard, getting involved with different clubs, organizations. Get into a place where you're interacting with other people, because engineering is not a solo sport. There's a lot of different team members, there's a lot of different personalities, and getting to know other people and how to interact with people and how to present, how to talk to people. Those are important parts of being a civil engineer, because eventually you'll have to be able to explain your design or your vision of what this could be.
Right, right. Oh man, so we know the math is important, but gosh, so many other parts that go with it. We really appreciate your time today. I know I learned a lot, right? I felt awfully safe in the lab and feel like gosh, just part of nature out here. We want to go ahead and make sure you get the famous Do the Math tile. Maybe they can go up in the lab there somewhere.
That's awesome.
Just for your time. And gosh, thanks again, man. I just learned a whole bunch.
Great, thank you.
An amazingly beautiful place out here, and we got to learn a little bit more about the background to it all, because it's not just, it doesn't just happen. There's a lot of planning that goes on. And we know also that maybe there's a little bit more planning going on back in the studio. So we'll get back there and do a little bit more math before the end.
All right, thanks for that, Scott. 636-4357 is that phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. We want to say thank you to Brody and Julian for coming in, 2 students from Quailwood Elementary. And I've got 2 questions for you guys. First of all, did you learn anything today?
Yes.
Yes.
So you learned a little bit something, right? Something that you kind of weren't familiar with at the beginning?
Yes.
And the second question, a little bit more important, is did you have fun?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. And you know what else? You're going to have some fun at the Bakersfield Condors Ice Hockey, because you guys each have a couple of tickets to go see Condors Hockey, so hopefully you have an opportunity to go check that out. And you guys will have more fun. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by CHEVRON, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, EDISON International, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary STROOPE Family Foundation, PANAMA-BUENA VISTA Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, Kern High School District, and AC Electric Company, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.